Welcome to the Capcom X Finger Cramp Street Fighter Cross Tekken character. We have Femme Fatale. I have a special guest today who will be looking at Chun-Li, and I will be taking a look to see how well Poison stacks up against the rest of the Street Fighter cast. Alright, let's get into it. So, let's start off with Poison's basics, which of course are her normals. Let's go into her normals. Her standing jab is your typical standing jab, has good range, and since she actually has a weapon in her hand, it has a huge hitbox at the end of it. Her standing short is probably the tool you're going to be using the most, and her crouching short, since they're so useful. Let's get into her medium punches now. Her medium punch, her standing MP, as you can see here, is a decent anti-air. It's mostly used to chain off of her crouching medium punch, same use. Not the most range, and it's kind of slow. When you're using her crouching medium kick, is similar to Ryu's low forward, just a bit slower, but it actually combos in and cancels into all of her special moves, even her standing medium kick. Her standing medium kick at full range, you're probably using that to do your chain combo and get your partner in there. Her standing fierce, mostly used as a pretty crappy footsie tool. I haven't found a real use for her since she's a zoning character. You're going to be using it mostly to keep players out. So you can do crouching fierce, which is kind of cancelable into her special move. Her standing fierce only up close is. Her crouching roundhouse, as you can see there, causes a knockdown save, which is always good. Has decent range on that thing. It's not one of the better chips in the game. It's just something that Poison can use along with her other tools. So as you can see, you try to get the standing roundhouse at full range. You can cancel into the exchange if you need to. Her airs, as you can see, are mostly bad for the most part. What you're going to be using mostly is jumping fierce, which has a decent hitbox, and if you can actually jump away with the jumping fierce, it pretty much keeps everyone off your butt, which is always good for a character that needs to keep her opponents away. Alright, let's get into Poison's special moves. I can see Aeolus Edge is her fireball. The low punch one goes the furthest, the medium punch one goes the mediumest, and the hard punch one is the closest and is actually the biggest projectile. It actually gives Poison enough time to start some offense. Her Whip of Love is her record chain. You do not want to get this on block. It's all negative, and all of the hits can actually be punished, so you want to use this mostly for damage. The EX version actually causes a ground bounce at the end of it. It has extra hits, so you get a little extra damage. Poison does not hurt the most in this game. Next up is Love Me Tender, which is Jaguar Kick, essentially, except it has really, really good properties. It's plus on every hit. The EX version goes full screen and is an overhead, so you're going to use that for projectiles a lot. And you can actually link from it, which if your timing's good. One cool thing you'll see later is that the Love Me Tender move actually can be canceled into a grab, which is always good. It's safe on block, as you can see that you're going to be using this in block pressure a lot, similar to what you're using Adon's Jaguar Kick for. So always keep that in mind. That's her best move. Next is Kissed by a Goddess, is Poison's DP move, basically. You're going to be using the medium kick version as an anti-air mostly. The EX version only for damage, and it honestly has a little more invincibility than some of the other moves. Kissed by a Goddess, not the most useful anti-air, but it's there. Her Super R, she actually throws a projectile at you, and it causes a full animation from anywhere from half screen, which is kind of unique. A lot of other characters don't have that ability. Her Cross R, as you can see, is a physical attack, and she does some pretty mean stuff to her opponent. Alright, now let's get into her combos. So as you can see here, this is probably one of her best combos off her standing jab. Next is one from the Love Me Tender move, which is a move you're going to be spamming a lot since it is safe. This is her some quirky stuff in the corner. That's her most damage she can get from that actual combo. You do not want to do anything extra. You can actually do another standing fierce into Aeolus Edge, but it's not worth the damage. It scales too much. So stick to the one I just showed you if you're in the corner. Poison does not take too much damage, and it's warranted because she can decently keep her opponent out. You're going to be using her safe strings a lot, so go into Aeolus Edge instead of the record chain if you can't hit confirm it, and stuff like that. But use her Love Me Tender move as much as you can since it's safe on block. Remember, there's no safe strings for it, so it can be reversaled out of. So take some time, enjoy these combos. Alright, let's get into Poison's gems. As you can see, I use Divine Speed a lot. And as I said before, Iron Wall is a staple for any character in this game since it's so effective. Well, Divine Speed I recommend only because it helps keep Poison out of trouble. The more speed she gets, the more she can poke away and stay away from her opponent's onslaught. As you can see, the only thing I would recommend besides Divine Speed is, of course, a meter gain. Since the more meters she has, the more damage she could potentially do off a successful hit. Alright, let's get into Poison's advanced section. So Poison is essentially DJ and Adon mixed together due to the Love Me Tender move, which is essentially a Jaguar kick. So you're going to be using her projectiles, zoning your opponent out at the beginning of a match, and only use her fierce projectile when you think opponent's going to jump from a bad distance, as it's pretty slow and it stops people from jumping in, as you can see right there. And you can actually follow behind it a bit and maybe get some Love Me Tender action in there. Her super art is pretty unique since it is a projectile and closes an animation from anywhere from half screen. I use it as an anti-air when I think opponents are going to jump from half screen trying to get in. Slow moving characters usually do it a lot, but as you can see, it's not the most guaranteed. You want to keep this in your arsenal since it takes decent damage, and that's one part that Poison does lack in. She needs to take more damage. So use her DP move, Kiss from a Goddess, to keep the opponents off your back. That's why I would stay away from using Standing M too much, because Liquid Kiss from a Goddess knocks them full screen from anywhere. So that's always good to have. And if you want to close the gap, go for the essentially EX Jaguar kick or Love Me Tender. It actually links into the crouching jabs, and it's an overhead when in the EX mode at least. And if you do any of the other versions, it's actually safe on block and plus. So I was saying how good this move is. Well, you should be spamming the hell out of it. Use it in a similar style you use an Adon. It's all about where you're standing and your spacing and positioning on the move itself. Because since it can be a reversal if a character has a DP or an invincible move. So, keep your opponent scared from doing anything, and once you start, applying the pressure with the frame traps and with the Love Me Tender move, which is so good, you just want to keep mixing it up. Since she doesn't take a lot of damage, you're going to be wanting getting counter hits a lot. What I like to do is the stand jab pressure or the crouch jab and counter hit him with the medium kick. Her medium kick is pretty decent, not as good as Ryu's, not as fast, but it has good range on it, and it can be cancelled from, so that's always a good utility to use since not all characters have Ryu's low forward. Good pressure. You're not going to be wanting to go for grabs a lot, but it's something in the arsenal. As I said before, her short is really good, and sometimes I actually go into Love Me Tender off of it and get that pressure started. And if you're scared of actually linking, you can always go into the grab animation from Love Me Tender and get some decent damage off of it. Now for some notes on Poison. Poison's playstyle is zoning. Even though she has some moves that give her some decent pressure, they're not that effective. I believe Poison is the most effective far away from her opponent. Only the MK version of Kiss by Goddess should be used as an anti-air. When playing as Poison, I realized the MK version was the only reliable one out of all of them, and that move is so good since it knocks your opponent full screen, which adds on to her zoning type of playstyle. Love Me Tender leaves you an advantage, so from the right distances, make sure, see how I'm highlighting right distances, you should be using this move as much as possible, just like Jaguar Kick. Leaves you at plus frames, and you can do frame traps, whatever you need. Unreliable air airs, the only one you should be using is Jump C, and even that's not so good, so keep her on the ground. Fireballs, I believe her endgame will have to rely all on her fireballs, and does not have a backup plan if zoning actually fails. So honestly, Poison is a one-dimensional character with some tools that aren't that effective in other playstyles. Yo Kev, that girl is Chun-Li. I should have done this a character ago.
Alright guys, so let's get started on her basics. Here's the jab. It has plenty of plus frames, whether it's the standing one or the crouching one. The standing one has good range, so you'll be using both of these attacks when you're close in, and it can be cancelled within the first and second frames. Here we have the standing light kick. As you can see, great poke, great range, and has the ability to go over lows because she lifts it up. Now her crouching light kick, you'll probably not use too much because the counterpart jab is much better. Now her down forward light kick, as you can see, flips over, and it has anti-air properties, and it rarely trades, so you'll be using that for anti-airs. Here we have the standing medium punch. As you can see, great poke, hits about 50% of the screen. The only problem with this is it does not go over lows. And here we have the crouching medium punch. Crouching medium punch is good because it has great range, but it cannot be cancelled into any of her moves, so watch out for that. Now, standing medium kick is really good. It has great anti-air properties, snipes anything out the air, rarely ever trades, so you'll be using that mostly. And her crouching medium kick, it sucks. It has no range. It can be canceled though, but you have to be really close to hit anything off of that. So outside of combos, it's useless. Here we have the back medium kick. You can hit it twice, but it's unsafe on block. You can jump cancel it if you so choose to. Now her forward medium kick, it just moves her forward, doesn't give her any plus frames really, so you won't be using it too much. Her far standing hard punch is a great poke. It's also a situational anti-air, about 75% to 100% of the screen. You'll be throwing it out, keep your opponent at bay. Now but it cannot be canceled. But her close fierce can be canceled. So if you want to use a special move in a combo, you'll be using that. Now her crouching fierce is 2 hits as you can see, and it can only be canceled within the first hit. Now far standing hard kick is very good, keeps your enemies at bay. If they want to jump, you'll automatically hit them out the air. And her trip is okay as well. Here we have the close standing hard kick. As you can see, I'm jump canceling it after, but I cannot chain. If I chain, I cannot jump cancel after. That's the problem there. And her trip is okay. It's unsafe on block though, so refrain from using it too close. Here we have her neutral jump airs. They're all the same, but the only one you're going to concern yourself with is the neutral jump hard kick because it attacks both ways and it'll keep your enemy at bay. As you can see, the light kick jump has cross-up properties, but the hitbox is really bad, and same thing with the medium kick. The only thing you're going to be using the medium kick for is when you're jumping in from far away, but you'll rarely jump anyway. Her jumping hard kick is really downward angle, so it's really good. And her jumping hard punch is probably the one you're going to be using the most because it has 1 or 2 hits and you can mix it in between the two. As you can see. Now onto her specials. Kikoken now with each different punch has different speeds and different ranges, so you'll be mixing it up when you're zoning in. And her EX has 2 smacks. Now here with the Hazanshu is essentially an overhead except for the light kick version, as you can see. But her EX version ground bounces for extension on combos. Now her lightning legs all do the same thing, but the EX one has juggle properties so you can continue after, only in the corner of course. Now the spinning bird kick is a great move only in combos because it's unsafe and it can be tag cancelled whenever. And the EX version has invo frames, so remember that. Here we are into her supers, Senuretsu Kyako. Same properties from Street Fighter 4, so you'll be able to go through projectiles. Now her cross art super is not too useful. It doesn't make her travel across the screen. Alright guys, here's some bread and butters you can check out. I'll give you some time. Alright guys, the cool thing about combo number 1 is it's extremely easy to do. You don't have to link it. You're chaining it into the EX lightning legs, which gives you a juggle state, and you're going to smack him with the standing hard punch right after for max damage. Now, for combo number 2, you're going to be linking the light punch into the crouching hard punch and canceling it into the spinning bird kick. But the good thing about this combo, although it's not damaging, is you can tag cancel at any time for your character to come in and do more damage. Now, combo number 3 is the most damage you can get from a jump in, whether it be hard kick or hard punch. And the cool thing is, Hazanshu, after the Hazanshu, you're going to have to link the standing light kick. You have about 2 to 3 frames to do it. It isn't too hard, and you get more damage off of it, canceling it into the EX Kikoken for more damage. You do not have to do the special after, but if you're going for the kill, why not? Now here's some gems to power up Chun-Li. See, I have the speed gems. They're always good for a counter poker, walking back and forth. You have the meter building gem with onslaught and proficiency, and of course the defense gems. They're always good. Now onto her advance. See, now we're zoned. Alright, so let's get into some of her advanced tactics with the zoning. You're going to be wanting to mix up her Kikoken. You don't want to use it too close. As you can see, it can be punished. The recovery isn't too fast. So you're going to be using about 50% of the screen to about full screen. And you're going to mix up the speeds, keep your enemy guessing which one you're going to do. And while you're zoning, you're going to be wanting to neutral jump a lot for the neutral jump hard kick. Keep your enemies at bay. Mix up which button you're going to use to keep them guessing. Don't be too predictable. Now her different pokes that you want to use is obviously the standing medium punch is her best poke, but you want to stay out of the low forward range. So what you want to do is move back and forth between the low forward range, and then once you see it throw it out, react by throwing the medium punch out and canceling it into either Kikoken or Hazanshu. Now she has a great range of anti-airs, nothing like too crazy, no invincible reverse anti-airs, but she does have this standing medium kick here. It's really good. As you can see, nothing's trading with me. You don't want to be too close while throwing it out because she will get the close standing medium kick out. But other than that, it's her go-to anti-air. Other than that, you do have the down forward light kick, as you can see here. It does knock enemies out the air, putting them into juggle states where you can probably trip them after. So you're gonna want to mix it in, keep your enemy guessing. Obviously, the whole goal of Chun-Li is never to be predictable, always mixing it up. Now for the high-low game with Chun-Li, obviously, is to train your opponent to block high with your Hazanshu mix-up, using your medium punch and canceling it into this medium kick Hazanshu. It'll train your opponent to block high whenever he sees the medium punch come out. And once you start seeing that come out, bam, you switch it up, chain your medium punch right into crouching hard kick and get the hard knockdown. Now scoring a hard knockdown is always good. Although they can roll, it does not matter because Chun-Li has neutral jump hard kick. The neutral jump hard kick keeps your enemy at bay and it'll keep them guessing which way to block. As you can see, I'm going to do it right now. I trip and I'll neutral jump, and it doesn't matter where, depending on what my spacing is, I'll either be in the front or the back. The enemy will have to guess whether I'm there. So your spacing is required here. So that'll be the knockdown game for Chun-Li. Alright guys, so here's the notes for Chun-Li. Her playstyle obviously is the counter poking type. You don't want to be too close and you don't want to be too far, obviously. So this is her best playstyle. She wants to walk in and out because she has a really fast walk speed. So keep at that, walking in and out, throwing the standing medium punch out there. Chun-Li has really fast limbs, so remember that, just throwing them out there. You don't want to jump too often with her because she has an extremely floaty jump. Now the problem with Chun-Li is she requires an extreme amount of patience. Walking back, walking forward, jumping a lot, neutral jumping a lot. But the main problem she has is she lacks a dependable reversal move because EX bird kick is not dependable. The invo frames aren't too long and it gets beat out by a lot of overheads and jump-ins. So you gotta be prepared to roll or just block with her. That's the best thing to do.
Alright folks, let's get into the pros and cons of Poison. So Poison has a decent keep away, not the best, it's useful. Left Me Tender is such a great move, it offers some great pressure. Kiss by Goddess knocks full screen, which is her DP move. People should be using that as much as they can. Her projectile leads to a full animation, her super at least. Con, she has no damage, and where is her damn help? I honestly think her tier is going to be low mid, because her pros do not compensate for her con. She doesn't take any damage, she doesn't have the most help, and she gets rushed down pretty easily.
Alright, let's start off with the pros. Her pokes are top notch, probably one of the best in the game. She has multiple anti-airs as well with her neutral standing medium kick and her down forward light kick. And she's got the Hazanshu mix-ups. High-low mix-ups is always good to have as a character. Now onto her cons. Her damage is nothing to be feared, as you can see. She doesn't do much damage without bar. She gets pressured easily, and her EX spinning bird kick is not dependable. Get off me move. I'd put her on a tier list about mid because her pokes are too damn good. And that's about it, guys. Thank you for watching the Femme Fatale character rehab. This is Kev, signing out.